We do not wish to fight, but we are also not afraid of fighting. If the United States really wants to solve the problem through dialogue and negotiation, it should stop threatening and blackmailing and speak with China on the basis of equality, respect, and mutual benefit. Ultimately, they have to make a deal because otherwise, they won't be able to deal with the United States, so we want them involved. 145% is very high, and it won't be that high. It's not going to be that high. It got up to there when we were talking about fentanyl, where various elements build it up to 145%. No, it won't be anywhere near that high. Imagine walking into a store and finding empty shelves, no phones, no car parts, not even basic medical supplies. On April 19, 2025, China slammed the brakes on $10 billion worth of U.S. cargo at Shanghai ports, citing inspections. But is this a routine check or a calculated strike in a growing trade war? By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what's happening, why it's a big deal, and how it could impact your daily life. We're diving into the hard facts, so stick around because this could change everything. Let's cut to the chase. On April 19, 2025, Reuters reported that Chinese authorities began delaying U.S. cargo at Shanghai, the world's largest port by volume. The stated reason was stricter inspections for environmental and safety compliance. But here's the reality. These delays zeroed in on American goods, freezing $10 billion in U.S. imports, including semiconductors, electric vehicle components, and medical supplies. Shanghai isn't just any port. It handles 17% of China's trade and processes over 47 million containers a year. When it slows, global supply chains grind to a halt. One logistics expert posted, "Inspections, please?" This is China flexing its muscle over U.S. tariffs. Another user, a supply chain analyst, wrote, "Shanghai's backlog is already 20% worse than last week." This is no accident. To put this in perspective, the $10 billion in delayed goods represents 8% of U.S. monthly imports from China. That's not a blip, it's a shockwave, and it's not the first time. In 2018, during the U.S.-China trade war, China slowed U.S. soybean and pork shipments, costing exporters $12 billion. The Shanghai slowdown feels like a sequel, but with higher stakes. Why? Because the world's more interconnected now, and the U.S. relies on China for critical goods like never before. The timing is no coincidence either. The U.S. slapped 100% tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles in late 2024, followed by 50% duties on solar panels and steel. China called these moves protectionist. The Shanghai delays, starting just months later, suggest retaliation. It's a chess game, and China's playing a bold move. You might be wondering, port delays in China, how does that change my life? Let's get personal. The $10 billion in delayed U.S. imports isn't abstract. According to Reuters, the affected cargo includes 30% of U.S.-bound semiconductors, critical for phones, laptops, and gaming consoles, 25% of electric vehicle batteries and parts powering cars from Tesla to Ford, and 15% of medical supplies like syringes, for bags, and diagnostic kits. Let's start with semiconductors. Remember the 2021 chip shortage? It drove up electronics prices by 20% and left car dealerships with empty lots. History is poised to repeat. Concerns are already spreading. Some are warning that if delays in Shanghai continue, iPhone 17 pre-orders could be pushed back by up to 2 months, with prices rising by $200. Retailers are also reporting low laptop stocks, with suppliers advising that new shipments may not arrive until July. Electric vehicles are about to be hit next. The U.S. depends on China for 70% of its EV battery supply, according to the Department of Energy. If the delays drag on, major automakers could slow production, prices could climb, and deliveries might stretch out for months. Some small businesses are already feeling it. Orders for EV vans are now being pushed back to late 2025, blowing up budgets that were already tight. Medical supplies are even more worrying. Right now, 40% of syringes and 30% of diagnostic kits in the U.S. come from China. If the slowdown keeps building, hospitals could start feeling real pressure just as flu season picks up. We saw it happen in 2020, basic supplies like syringes, and that's never a good sign. And it's not just about products, it's about your wallet too. The National Retail Federation warns that if delays continue, prices on electronics, appliances, and auto parts could rise by 5% to 10% by June. That means an extra $50 on a $500 phone or $2,000 more on a $20,000 car. For businesses, The hit is, even larger importers are now facing demurrage fees of $100 to $200 per container every single day their cargo sits stuck, and those additional costs eventually fall on the consumer. To understand what's happening, we have to step back. The US-China trade relationship has always been rocky, but 2024 made it worse. The Biden administration sharply raised tariffs, 100% on Chinese electric vehicles, 50% on solar panels, steel, and aluminum. The idea was simple: protect American jobs and push back against China's heavy state subsidies that make competition unfair. But China didn't just sit back. Instead of imposing its own tariffs and risking trouble with the World Trade Organization, China found another way using soft pressure. That's where the Shanghai slowdown comes in. By slowing shipments through inspections, China can strangle U.S. supply chains without breaking any official rules. It's smart. Shanghai handles 30% of U.S. imports from China, making it the perfect place to squeeze. Trade experts and insiders have been warning about this for weeks. One analyst pointed out that China is showing it can paralyze U.S. commerce without even firing a shot. Another former diplomat said China's timing is no accident. They're looking for leverage ahead of the G20 meeting in May. Even shipping insiders are noticing that European and Asian cargo is moving through Shanghai 20% faster, while American goods sit and rot. It's deliberate, and it's working. Right now, about $10 billion worth of goods are stuck. Big retailers like Walmart, Target, and Amazon are already preparing for shortages before the summer shopping rush. The National Retail Federation warns that if delays keep dragging on, we're looking at 5% to 10% price hikes on electronics, appliances, and car parts by June. To put that in real numbers, that's about $100 extra on a $1,000 TV or $500 more if you need a $5,000 engine repair. The shipping industry is bleeding too. Maersk, one of the biggest shipping companies in the world, reported a 15% drop in cargo heading from Shanghai to the United States. And it's not just the big players feeling it. Smaller companies like trucking firms and warehouses are getting crushed. One trucker shared he's losing $500 a week because there's no cargo to move. Another warehouse manager said they're still paying rent on empty docks, and it's pushing them to the edge. Small businesses are especially exposed. If your containers are stuck, you're hit with demurrage fees, $100 to $200 per container per day. A mid-sized retailer with 50 containers could end up paying $10,000 every single day those containers sit there. Most small businesses can't survive that kind of bleeding, so they either raise prices or start laying off workers, and that ripple effect hits everyone: workers, families, entire local economies. But the bigger problem isn't just today. It's the next few years. The United States is trying to bring manufacturing back home. The CHIPS Act put $52 billion into building new semiconductor plants, and the Inflation Reduction Act is pushing $20 billion into EV battery factories. But those projects won't be ready overnight. Most of these new plants won't be up and running until at least 2027. Until then, China holds the keys to a lot of what we need. When you ask people what should happen next, there's no clear answer. Some say double down and hit China harder with tariffs. Others warn that could blow up into a full-on trade war. A 2020 study from Oxford Economics found that if US-China trade collapsed completely, it could cost the United States about 2% of its GDP every year. That's $500 billion. Right now, China is betting that the United States needs them more than they need us. And with 80% of rare earths, 70% of EV batteries, and 40% of medical supplies coming from China, that's a strong hand to play. Just last week, Reuters confirmed it. U.S.-bound containers from Shanghai jumped by 20%, while U.S. shipments stalled. China is keeping its economy running strong, tightening ties with Europe and Asia, while the United States struggles to catch up. It's not just about money, it's about power. China's making it clear they can set the terms if they want to. We've seen this before. Back in 2019, China restricted rare earth exports to the United States, driving up tech manufacturing costs. In 2023, they cut back gallium and germanium shipments, key materials for chips and solar panels. Each time, the United States took the hit. But the Shanghai slowdown is a bigger move, hitting a wider range of goods and exposing just how much the United States depends on Chinese supply chains.